So, I'll be speaking to you using language because I can. This is one of these magical abilities that we humans have. We can transmit really complicated thoughts to one another. So, what I'm doing right now, I'm making sounds with my mouth as I'm exhaling. I'm making tones, hisses and puffs, and those are creating a vibrations in the air. And those air vibrations are traveling to you, they are hitting your eardrums, and then your brain takes those vibrations from your eardrums and transforms them into thoughts, I hope. So, because of this ability, we humans are able to transmit our ideas across vast reaches of space and time. We are able to transmit knowledge across minds. I can put bizarre new idea in your mind right now. I could say, imagine jellyfish waltz in a library while thinking about quantum mechanics. Now, if everything has gone relatively well in your life so far, you probably haven't had that thought before. But now, I've just made you think it through language. Now, of course, there isn't just one language in the world. There are about 7,000 languages spoken around the world. And all the languages differ from one another in all kinds of ways. Some languages have different sounds, different vocabularies, and also they have uh, different structures. Very importantly, different structures. That begs the question, does the language we speak shape the way we think? Now, this is an ancient question. People have been speculating about this question forever. Charlemagne, Holy Roman Emperor, said to have a second language is to have a second soul. Strong statement that language crafts reality. But on the other hand, Shakespeare, as Juliet said, what's in a name? A rose by any other name would smell sweet. Well, let's suggest that maybe the language doesn't craft reality. These arguments have gone back and forth for thousands of years, but until recently, there hasn't been any data to help us decide either way. Recently, in labs around the world, they've started research, and they have actual scientific data to weigh in on this question. So let me tell you about some of my favorite examples. I'll start with an example from an Aboriginal community in Australia. These are the Cook people. They live in Bambarao, at the very west edge of Cape York. What's cool about Kuktaya is in Kuktaya they don't use words like left and right. Instead, everything is in cardinal direction, north, south, east, and west. I mean everything. You would say something like, oh, there's an ant in your southwest leg. Or move your cup to the northeast a little bit. In fact, the way that you say hello in Kuktaya is you say, which way are you going to? The answer should be northwest, in the far distance. How about you? So imagine, as you're walking around your day, every person you greet, you have to report your heading direction. Wow. that would actually get you oriented pretty fast, right? Because you literally couldn't get past hello if you didn't know which way you were going. In fact, people who speak languages like this stay oriented really well. They stay oriented better than we used to think humans could. We used to think that humans were worse than other creatures because of some biological excuse. Oh, we don't have magnets in our beaks or in our scales. No. If your language and your culture trains you to do it, actually you can do it. And just get us in an agreement how different this is from the way we do. I want you all to close your eyes for a second and point southeast. Keep your eyes closed and point. So you can open your eyes. You guys may point there. I don't know which way it is myself. You have not been a lot of help. This is a big difference in cognitive ability across languages, right? Where one group, very distinguished group like you guys, doesn't know which way is which. But in another group, I could ask a 5-year-old and they would know. There are also really big differences in how people think about time. So if you put pictures of my grandmother at different ages, and if I ask an English speaker to organize time, they might lay it out this way, from left to right. This has to do with right direction, isn't it? And if you were a speaker of Hebrew or Arabic, you might do it going in the side direction, from right to left. But how would the cook tire, this virginal group I just told you about, that do it? They don't use words like left and right, right? Let me give you a hint. When you set people facing south, they organize time from left to right. Wow. And when you set them facing north, they organize time from right to left. Wow. And when you set them facing east, time came towards the body. What's the pattern? East to west, right? So for them, time doesn't actually get locked on the body at all. It gets locked on the landscape. So for me, if I'm facing this way, time goes this way. If I'm facing this way, time goes this way. Very egocentric of me to have the direction of time chase me around every time I turn my body. Ooh. For the Kuuk-Thaayorre, time is locked in the landscape. It's a dramatically different way of thinking about time. Languages also differ in how they develop the color spectrum, the visual world. Some languages have lots of words for colors. Some have only a couple of words, light and dark. And languages differ in where they put boundaries between colors. So, for example, in English, there's a word for blue that covers all of the color, but in Russian, there isn't a single word. Instead, Russian speakers have to differentiate between light blue and dark blue. So Russians have this lifetime of experience of language distinguishing these two colors. Wow. When we test people's ability to perceptually discriminate these colors, what we find is that Russian speakers are faster across this linguistic boundary. They are faster to be able to tell the difference. And when you look at people's brain as they were looking at colors, you have colors shifting slowly from light to dark. The brain of people who use different words for light and dark will give a surprise reaction as the colors shift from light to dark. So if something has categorically changed, whereas the brain of English speakers, for example, that don't make this categorical distinction, don't give that surprise, because nothing has categorically changed. But languages have all kinds of structural quirks. This is one of my favorites. Lots of languages have grammatical gender. Every noun gets assigned a gender of masculine or feminine. And these genders differ across languages. For example, the sun is feminine in German, but masculine in Spanish. And the moon, the reverse. Okay. Could this actually have any consequence for how people think? Do German speakers think of the sun as somehow more female-like and the moon is somehow male-like? Actually, turns out that's the case. So if you ask German and Spanish speakers to say, describe a bridge. Bridge happens to be grammatically feminine in German, grammatically masculine in Spanish. German speakers are more likely to say bridges are beautiful, elegant, stereotypically feminine words, whereas Spanish speakers will be more likely to say they are strong or long, these masculine words. Languages also differ in how they describe events, right? You take an event, an accident. In English, it's fine to say, he broke the vase. He broke the vase. In a language like Spanish, you might be more likely to say the vase broke, or the vase broke itself, if it's an accident. If it's an accident, you wouldn't say that someone did it. In English, quite weirdly, we can even say things like, I broke my arm. I broke my arm. But now, in lots of languages, you couldn't use that construction unless you're a lunatic and you went out looking to break your arm and you succeeded. If it was an accident, you would use different construction. Now, this has consequences. So people who speak different languages will pay attention to different things, depending on what their language usually requires them to do. So we show the same accent to English speakers and Spanish speakers. English speakers will remember who did it, because English requires you to say, he did it, he broke the vase, he did it. Whereas the Spanish speakers might be less likely to remember who did it. If it's an accident, they are more likely to remember the intention. So two people watch the same event, witness the same crime, in this case, against the vase, but end up remembering different things about that event. This has implications, of course, for eyewitness testimony. It has also implications for blame and punishment. If you take English speakers, I just described someone breaking the vase, and I say he broke the vase, as opposed to the vase broke, even though you can witness it yourself. You watch the video, you can watch the crime against the vase. You will punish someone more. You will blame someone more. If I just said he broke it, as opposed to it broke. The language guides our reasoning about events. Now, I've given you a few examples how language can profoundly shape the way we think, and it does so in a variety of ways. So language can have big effects, like we saw with space and time, where people can lay out space and time in completely different coordinate frames from each other. Language can also have really early effects. What we saw in the case of color, these are really simple, basic perceptual decisions. We make thousands of them all the time, and yet language is getting in there and fussing with these tiny little perceptual decisions that we make, language can have really broad effects. So the case of grammatical gender might be a little silly, but at the same time, grammatical gender applies to all nouns. That means language can shape how you're thinking, but how that can be named, how anything can be named by noun. There's a lot of stuff. And finally, I gave you an example of language can shape things like have personal weight to us. Ideas like blame and punishment or eyewitness testimony. These are important things in our daily life. The beauty of linguistic diversity is that it reveals to us